The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, folks. This is Jacob Shoup filling in for Tommy O'Brien. This is the Morning Market Kickoff. If you'd like, you can send me an email at jacob@tfnn.com. Give us a call as well. I'm here to chat. So CPI, huh? First, let's take a look, right? CPI was, somewhat better than anticipated, right? So the CPI year over year was 3 versus 3.1. Okay, core was 3.3 versus the estimated 3.4%. Here, let me just pull this thing over here. Even look what's going on, too. All right, so the all items index rose 3% for the 12 months ending June, a smaller increase than the 3.3% increase for the 12 months ending May. The all items less food and energy index, so that's core CPI, rose 3.3% over the last 12 months and was the smallest 12-month increase in that index since April 2021. The energy index increased 1% for the 12 months ending June, and the food index increased 2.2% over the last year. If you want this, I'll just pop it into the den. Additionally, just go to bls.gov. And so that's somewhat positive news, right? It doesn't seem extremely, let me just put this in the den. If you're not in the den, I'd strongly recommend getting in there. You go to the front page, or go to the services tab of TFNN.com and look for the Tiger's Den trading room on Discord. It's a lot easier to set up than it might seem. And it's a good time. So even with somewhat, better than estimated results, right, you're still having really it's still pre-market, right? But you're having some sideways movement and everything. We were up a little bit in the futures. Now we're flat right now, up a little bit in the SPY to down a little bit in the SPY. We're flat right now, flat in the NQs. Obviously the comp is flat. Again, we're all pre-market right now, right? But still, let's see anything else is doing anything insane. Tesla not moving too much right now. You had a pump up in let's look at TMF, right? Like this morning, TMF up like 3.22%, which is solid if you're holding that. And the dollar at 104.16. Doesn't seem, like I said, the indices are reacting that way. Gold, however, is moving, and silver is moving as well in a big way at pre-market. We're still about 28 minutes out from that. Yeah, so, okay. I'm kind of what I'm saying is like going to be perceived as bearish, and it has been this past year pretty ignorant to be bearish on the long term in this market. I mean, you had people get fired from Morgan Stanley for JP Morgan, and these were big, analysts, but we're making all-time highs in this. Random stocks are pumping up, right? Like Rivian is pumped up like 20%, and even as someone who kind of was making a bull case for Rivian, that's pretty fast. That's a pretty large move over that time. Palantir is moving up pretty significantly over the past week with a pretty high PE. And again, there's probably a fundamental bullish case to be made on that, but is the reaction proper, right? Like is it proportionate to its rise up? I'm not sure on it. I think there's a lot of these weird stocks that are getting a ton of capital moved in as long as it has to do with AI in some capacity. I think Palantir is set for the long term on AI, the way that they can actually integrate the data developed or generated by the AI is super important. We could talk a little bit about that as well going forward. But it's pretty pricey, and these guys dilute their stock pretty heavily, right? You have Rivian. Obviously, this is on the news from VW, but still a pretty strong march upward, and we're still up today as well. And I wonder if this sideways movement and everything is kind of, we'll have to see what the volatility is today, but it, might point towards something Anyways, it does seem like the market still thinks that rates will go lower, or the chances are still strong there. Obviously, you have the notes and bonds moving up in price. So it's hard to say what the market is thinking right now, and we're definitely going to figure out, at least today, how everyone feels on that. But I still think we're kind of high. You know, obviously we'll wait for like PCE and all that kind of stuff, but I think Jerome Powell is a relatively conservative guy. He's been saying forever, let's just see better data. Let's just see better data, right? And moderately, increasing less than anticipated, I wouldn't say is necessarily positive data in the direction of we cut rates. Because again, this is what I was saying yesterday and a few days prior, that if you cut rates and you generate all this economic activity, there's still a lot of like capital that exists on the sidelines that isn't in this market yet. And I mean, you might get issues with housing immediately after that. It's just going to be hard to kind of tell. And I think Powell is looking for a pretty sure fire, like, all right, like this is really, really coming down, right? This isn't just a monthly fluke. I don't know. Remains to be seen what happens on that, but the reaction is actually a little bit tempered, which I find kind of interesting. Let us move on to Delta Airlines. There's a bunch of people talking about on some of the forums I go on, getting calls for this, right? And my favorite response, because I responded, I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Yeah, you have more flights than ever right now, or in recent time. But the cost to run those flights is extraordinarily expensive. And that's all on the back of these airline companies. Anyways, you had a bunch of calls out for the company. They did miss. The airline still earned $1.31 billion, but their profits were down 29%, which is a pretty huge miss. It was funny when I was asking what makes you think that Delta is going to beat this time, and the people responded because they've beat the past few quarters, which is like it's foolproof, man. So let's just go through this article a little bit. We can talk about it. Obviously, we're down 8.66% today, which is a pretty strong miss for Delta. So Americans are traveling in record numbers this summer. Second quarter profit for Delta Airlines drops 29%. This is due to higher costs and discounting of base level fares across the industry. The airline is also predicting a lower profit than Wall Street expects for the third quarter. The forward guidance was not great. Shares tumbled 8% before the opening bell. A lot of other carriers were dragged. Thursday, it said it earned $1.31 billion from April through June. That was down from $1.83 billion a year ago. Ugh. Revenue rose 7% to nearly $16.66 billion, a company record for the quarter. That is not surprising to anyone who has been in the airport recently. The Transportation Security Administration screened more than 3 million travelers Sunday. So basically, demand is strong, but it's just too costly to run these flights, which, that's something that we've heard for a while. Folks, stay right there. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
In the world of trading, only a few names stand out like Larry Pesavento, a pro's pro with over 50 years of experience. Larry has seen it all. A former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member, Larry has authored 10 books and trained over 1,000 traders with his unmatched expertise. Introducing Fibonacci 24/7, Larry Pesavento's daily trading service that turns the complexity of markets into opportunities. Published every Sunday, receive a comprehensive report packed with detailed commentary, charts, and videos that illuminate the patterns shaping the markets, with updates throughout the week exclusively for subscribers. Whether through charts or videos, Larry's analysis is your roadmap to navigating the markets. You can sign up now at TFNN.com for just $97. And with all TFNN newsletters backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to risk. For all the details, visit TFNN.com. You'll find Fibonacci 24/7 right under the newsletters tab.
Tigers, it's back. The annual July Tiger Dollar Sale. If you've been wanting to try one of our products, from our stellar newsletters to educative webinars, now is the time. From now until July 22nd, we're offering a 20, 30, even a 40% bonus on Tiger Dollar purchases. After being applied to your account, your Tiger Dollars will be used for all purchases. They can be easily transferred and never expire. If you want to receive a 20, 30, or even a 40% bonus when purchasing Tiger Dollars, now's your chance. This is a perfect opportunity to try out a newsletter or save big on your current subscription. This deal is only available until July 22nd, so lock in your bonuses fast. Go to TFNN.com today to lock in your bonus. TFNN, educating investors.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
This portion of the Morning Market Kickoff is brought to you by Direxion's daily leveraged and inverse ETFs. Whether you're a bull or a bear, you choose the direction. Visit Direxion.com. Investing in the funds involves significant risk and should only be utilized by investors who understand the impact of leverage and actively monitor their portfolio. They are not designed to track the underlying index or security for more than a day. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risk, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at Direxion.com. Read carefully. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Welcome back, folks. This is Jacob Shoup filling in for Tommy O'Brien. This is the Morning Market Kickoff. We're about 10 minutes from open right now. Let's take a look real quick at Pfizer. They are trying to compete with their own GLP-1 drug, which we all know is extraordinarily popular and probably will continue to be for the foreseeable future. Essentially the same kind of class of drugs as like Wegovy, really semaglutide. This will be a competitor for that in a certain space. So let's talk about it. On Thursday, it said it'll move forward with a once daily version of its weight loss pill, Nuglipron. Fascinating. After it saw encouraging data in an ongoing early stage study, the company evaluated several once daily formulations of the drug and identified one with the most favorable profile. Pfizer said it plans to conduct more early stage trials in the second half of the year to identify the ideal dose of the drug, with results expected in the first quarter of the year. I would love to see just the back end of how that test works. But the company said those trials will, quote, inform registration-enabling studies, which are used in applications for regulatory approval. Nuglipron has demonstrated good efficacy in a twice-daily formulation. Okay, this is good. And I'm not seeing if it's oral, but it's a once daily. I might kind of assume that it could be, but that's a really big assumption. That would be nice, right? I mean, some of the problem with the other GLP-1s, like semaglutide, at least in the time being, you have to inject them, right? With Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly. Regardless, what I really want to talk about on this topic is Hims, right? So Hims is introducing, I was looking at this whole thing, pretty phenomenal move for this stock on, over the past year. They killed earnings in a huge way, set their earnings right there, and then just moved up strong. So this company has a lot of growth. I mean, yeah, you can see how much they're still losing kind of money here. They have a lot of room for growth. So something a little bit difficult to kind of reckon with, right? And it's a stock I've been kind of looking at to see maybe play around their future earnings, because I think this is massive. So they're really big for being an online kind of dealer of Cialis, Viagra, and then finasteride and minoxidil. That's for hair loss. And so these kind of general, what I would classify as becoming like just male care routines, which I think was something that probably wasn't prevalent until recently, right? And keep in mind as well, these like tadalafil and sildenafil, both like Cialis and Viagra, were available online for a very long time, right? But I think there's this disconnect, like if you're, just kind of a general individual, you a little bit suspect about buying stuff online, right? Even though the compounds really are fine and they're pure or whatever from a lot of these kind of just one-off websites, Hims was so intelligent about this, right? Because they understood that, just random companies were doing this. They decided to make a whole brand around it. The packaging is professional. It looks good. It's definitely a case study in millennial and Gen Z marketing, without a doubt, right? However, they're moving it, like, for instance, I'll just pull it over, right? I mean, this is versus like the websites of the past that would, you click in some sketchy URL and it would be like, do you want to buy finasteride? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And you have no idea where it's coming from. This is solid, right? Like, this is really well done. And I mean, even generic Lexapro, which is insane, but still, right? And so I was just curious because they're having some of their quarterlies come out, I think, in the next month. And I was like, do they have the potential, to move up largely again? And I'm still kind of working on that. One of the major issues is they have competitors right now. Like, their moat's not very good because, as I was saying, there's been people selling generic all of these drugs for a long time, right? And then I saw that they had their own proprietary blend of GLP-1. It's not something they made, but it's a stack, essentially. And you go on this website and you take a test, right? And I was just curious how easy it was to access, GLP-1 kind of drugs. And it's actually really straightforward. You answer questions, but in reality, you're just kind of on some rails, and it is going to bring you to the answer regardless. And they offer a stack, right? And that stack is more expensive than just buying the GLP-1. So they have a really good way of like pushing the products that they own. And it's phenomenal because they have Wegovy and Ozempic that you can purchase on their website, right? These are extraordinarily expensive. And right next to it in the product line is their GLP-1. And I think that while they don't have like a long-term moat in the sense that anyone can do what they're doing because there's no restrictions and, they're not doing anything really necessarily proprietary, I think their recognition is so strong, right? Like if some random company, again, coming up, being like, hey, we also sell these kind of drugs, so take them and don't worry about it. I think there is still a block in a lot of people's minds on that. Hims is trading, $20.65 right now, up 2.18%. But that would be something I'd recommend you guys taking a look at for yourselves. Decide if that makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense for me in my portfolio yet, but it is definitely interesting, especially going up to a high of 25 here and pulling right back down. See if we reject that $20 area. It's been bouncing off that for quite a while. And what a weird world it is, right? You can just go online and get some of these compounds. Kind of fascinating. Let's talk a little bit about Boeing, and it's not anything to do with their airlines, nor is it anything to do with the court case that they have but it has to do with the Starliner. And man, so we're trading 183.92 right now, still up from the low of 159.70, which is pretty decent for that company for what is going on with them. But they're doing the Starliner, right, which is supposed to go up to the space station, get the crew there, and then bring it back down, right, like a competition to Star. Excuse me, why can't I think of the name? Whatever Musk's company is. It's a little early still, I guess, right? So anyways, they get up there. It's supposed to be, they're supposed to have the crew docked for 2 weeks. And then they're trying to come down, and they're having some issues, right? And there's all the headlines of people saying, well, here, we're about to go to break. We'll talk about it a little bit, but I think this is still bad and just kind of shows how Boeing is being kind of like hand-walked into this next stage by some funders. Folks, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The consistency you're looking for is closer than you think. 1 or 2 adjustments are usually all you need to change your equity curve from red to green and keep it there. Come join Larry Pesavento live to learn what separates the winners from the losers. Join Larry Pesavento on the 2nd and 4th Friday of every month for 3 hours of live trading from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time, where Larry will show you the market setting up and, most important of all, the state of mind of a winning trader. By watching Larry trade, you'll learn the Fibonacci levels, you'll learn how to apply A to B to C to D trading patterns, you'll learn trade management, pattern recognition, and much more. Join Larry Pesavento Friday, July 12th and Friday, July 26th, 9 a.m. to noon Eastern Time for 3 hours of live trading. For this month only, use promo code LarryJuly24 at checkout to save $50 on your first month subscription. For all the information and to reserve your spot today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
If you spend any time online researching trading techniques on how to begin your trading journey, you've no doubt come across many folks who push Forex trading as a way to make big money quickly. Unfortunately, there are equally as many stories of these so-called Forex professionals just looking to make a quick buck off aspiring traders without actually teaching the ins and outs of the Forex market. This is what sets Teddy Keckstack's The Tiger Forex Report off the riffraff. Every Monday, former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member and author Teddy Keckstack releases his Tiger Forex Report newsletter, where he dives into the complex world of Forex and takes time to actually teach you his methods that have made him so successful in the fast-paced and rewarding world of Forex trading. Furthermore, all subscribers receive access to archived live streams of Teddy's, where he provides university-level education to help you in Forex trading. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Forex awaits.
The stock market is a delicate, interconnecting web of commodities, equities, and trader psychology. When one string of the web is pulled, it has a ripple effect across the broader market. This is where opportunity lies. But how are you to gather all of this information into one cohesive model when you're already spending your energy looking for any possible trade opportunities? Luckily, you don't have to worry about that, as Tom O'Brien has brought all important market news to you in one single newsletter, Market Insights. Market Insights provides a daily overview of what's happening in the indexes, bonds, gold, and more. Follow along with Tom daily as he analyzes the components that affect the overall movement of the stock market, giving insight into how each one plays either a bullish or bearish role. Tom also analyzes specific equities that he believes has the potential to make huge returns, and his track record proves his analysis right. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Don't let the market leave you in the dust.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Welcome back, folks. Jacob Shoup filling in for Tommy O'Brien. This is the morning market kickoff, and we have open markets right now. We're taking a look at Boeing, but let's just see what we have going on overall. Man, sideways, slightly down, slightly up. Russell taking off. NQ's doing nothing. Comp doing nothing. Dow futures doing nothing. In the Dow doing nothing either. Just as it is, only been open for less than a minute. Gold contract up about 1.43%. Silver roaring. Copper doing nothing similar, which is a shame. Let's see here. Bonds coming down slightly. Tesla sideways, which is interesting if we break this move streak today. So dynamics roaring, very cool, very cool. And then the dollar trading in its lower range for sure at 104. See if we can crack down there, right? I mean, that's a pretty good indicator that the market thinks you're going to have rates coming down at some point, right? Or at least well, remains to be seen if that is true. Disney at 97.12. Lucid still popping today, 2.22%. JP Morgan, we could talk about. They seem that they're going to have some pretty good control over the credit card market share, which is pretty nice, but we can speak about that in a second. I want to finish on Boeing because their Starliner is having issues. They're having helium leaks in the spacecraft service module, which is a big problem. Obviously, these guys aren't stranded. They sent some astronauts up there to do some tests, and they're come back down. But really, this was supposed to be, I think, Boeing's saving grace in a sense, right? Where it's like, hey, no, we can get people up there. We can get them back down for sure. And we're going to do it in, over a 2-week period. It has been, I think, like 3 or 4 weeks now. It's June 5th. So it's been over a month, and they're still not coming down. Now, these guys aren't stuck. If you see headlines on it, it's like they're stranded. Just keep in mind that's a little bit sensationalized. There's plenty of ways to get shore up in that for a little while, but I listen, this is the reality with EVs, right? And it's something that's weird about life as well, is even if it doesn't make logical sense, right? And I'm not saying that EVs don't make logical sense, but just in general, right? Say, they have issues with being, give me 1 second here. They have issues with being efficient. It costs a lot to make them. A lot of companies make them at a loss and they can't figure it out. And that's valid, but let's look at what's really going on, okay? We're having the European Union and America levy tariffs against China on their EVs. They are propping up EV production at home. You have Biden administration just today announcing $1.7 billion plan to juice electric vehicle production in America. And again, in the short term, it doesn't make sense. But when you have so much weight and might behind a certain sector and this amount of capital flying in every 2 or 3 quarters, it's pretty safe to assume that this is going to be somewhat prominent in the future, if not the main form of transportation. And again, it doesn't mean that combustion engines aren't better now, and we've come a long way in being efficient and less polluting. But I mean, you got to follow where the money's going and what the regulations are. And all of those things are pointing to EV being the thing in the future. Folks, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for staying with us during that small technical difficulty. Here is Basil Chapman next.